Welcome to Dose of Social, your recipe for social media success. I'm Lindsay Mauk,
I'm Kayla Pearlstein.
and this is Dose
Dose of
of Social.
Social. You haven't done that in a while.
It feels like it's been a minute. All right. Well, Kayla, I am so excited that we are here today. We have 50 episodes of Dose of Social under our
Whoop,
belt.
whoop.
What? Raise the roof. So, in honor of achieving this milestone, which I'm very happy to have achieved with you, Kayla, we are going to take it back and we are going to really elaborate on something that we talked about in our first episode, which was the common questions that we get asked about social media as professionals in the field and as two people who have worked in social media really since it was an emerging form of communication and form of marketing. There's just been so much and so much changes, like even just since we started Dose of Social in October of 2024. So today we are going to take it back. This is going to be a Lindsay Kayla duo episode. And we are going to talk about the 6 common misconceptions about social media because in 2026, there are still a lot of misconceptions around social media and what it can achieve for your business. So, Kayla and I are going to talk about that today. And we are going to talk about if you do have these particular goals for social media, what you can do instead. So, all right, let's get started.
Oh my
So, misconception number 1, Kayla.
Yes.
Followers do not equal customers.
This is my favorite one because I think a lot of people are still really hung up on follower count. And something that I have always explained as an organic social media expert is, would you rather have 250,000 followers that are not engaging with your content, they're not purchasing your product, they're not doing anything with your business, it's just a number? Or would you rather have 250 followers that are engaging, they're purchasing your product, they're referring your business, they're doing all of the things, you're building a community online? Which would you rather have, Lindsay?
I'll take the 250 followers, Kayla, for engaged audience. Thank you very much.
Maybe we should bring up the fact that Instagram recently did a huge sweep of fake followers. I think Kylie Jenner lost a couple million, maybe a million. So, again, which I think we've talked about this multiple times, do not buy followers, please. It's very obvious when you've done it. And Instagram's going to keep continuing to clean it out. So, if you have fake followers, inactive followers, bots, whatever it is, it's going to end up going away at some point. And to be honest with you, I was waiting for this to happen because I know there's a lot of influencers that have purchased followers. And I'm just like, what's going to happen when they all get cleared out and we see everyone's real numbers?
Yeah, it's definitely exposing those accounts that used bots or other methods to grow. Instagram's definitely bringing out the broom and sweeping that up. I mean, I will say though that a lot of our client accounts had drops when Instagram did this big sweep of 2026, but it was nothing crazy. And Instagram was also cleaning out inactive accounts. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, I had an old account that I used to preserve a handle that I used back in the day. And that account also got deactivated as part of this sweep. So there were accounts that were not necessarily bots, but just inactive accounts. So if you were someone that was looking for a particular handle and you weren't able to get it because it had been taken by some account that hadn't been used for 6 years, now is probably a good time to go check that handle again and see if you might be able to get it because a lot of those accounts have been purged as part of this process.
Yeah, we had, I think, 2 clients that were affected. And to your point, it wasn't by a lot. One of them, I think, lost 2,000 followers. We already knew they had a suspicious amount of followers and they didn't want to clean it out themselves. So it happened anyway. But honestly, I'm here for it because it's only going to help your engagement. Like we said, you don't want to be buying followers or have, 250,000 followers that don't engage or do anything. So,
Yeah.
so with that said, some of the things that we look at in reporting, we do track followers. Obviously, it's still a metric that we look at, but it's not the end all be all. We like to look at views like video views, your static post views, carousel views. With video views specifically, we look at how long the watch time was for reels. Because if people are watching your minute reel and they're only watching it for about 3 seconds, something's off and you need to tweak. We're also looking at saves and shares because if people are saving your content, if they're sharing your content, they're relating to it. If they're saving it, they want to come back to it later. If they're sharing it, they know somebody else that can relate to it. So those are some of the top metrics that we keep an eye out for.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are all really great metrics to make sure you're tracking for your KPIs of social media, but followers, naturally, you want to be tracking your growth, but we always tell our clients follower count is great to track, but it's a vanity metric. So it's something that looks great, but it doesn't tell the full picture. So all
Right.
of those engagement metrics that you mentioned, likes, shares, comments, how many people added it to your story, things like that, those are all things that are better to measure essentially. They're not necessarily better to measure, but they're better sources of actual like engagement and who
Mhm.
really is engaging with your products and your content.
All right. So, Lindsay, let's get into misconception number 2. AI is a social media strategy.
For those of you who are watching my video, what? No. AI is a tool. It is a tool to help you with your social media strategy. Louder for the people in the back. AI is a tool to help you with your social media strategy. It is not the end all be all for your social media strategy, okay? Right now, so many businesses are relying on AI to generate captions, generate ideas for their business, even write their full calendars, but they're missing the full picture. They're missing the strategy. Okay. You have to know the strategy so that you can leverage the AI tools to help get the output that you're looking for. Use AI as a brainstorming tool. Use AI to improve your efficiency. But AI is not a replacement for a social media strategy. It's not a replacement for your brand voice. It's not a replacement for understanding your audience, and it's not a replacement for graphic design. Come on, people, let's stop with the AI generated images.
And also, if you need to learn how to use AI as a tool, you can listen to episode number 50.
Yes, definitely. Take a playback here to our episode number 50. Learn about how you can leverage AI and the different LLMs for your particular business and your social media strategy. But again, like leverage AI as a tool. It is not the end all be all tool for your social media strategy. Use AI as a tool to improve your efficiency and have better output, but it's not a replacement. All right, I'm stepping down from my soapbox now.
To kind of jump on what you're saying, I'm going to sneak in maybe a 7th misconception here because I think some people think that social media is their marketing strategy, and that is also not the case. You need an actual marketing strategy, and social media can't be the only answer.
Yeah, I mean, just like AI is a tool to help you with your social media strategy, social media is a tool in your marketing toolkit. It is not the tool. It is not like the Swiss Army knife and it does all the things, right? I think a lot of times social media can be this general term where you're like, oh, yeah, social media, that's going to drive sales or that's going to do this for me. And it's like, it's not the case, right? It's just like, it's part of your marketing toolkit. So understanding where social media fits in the ecosystem of your marketing and then looking how marketing fits into your business goals is super important. So layering up versus just assuming that social media is your end all be all strategy.
Well, Lindsay, you come to a great point and our next misconception that organic social media can guarantee leads and sales.
Oh, this one is so, I mean,
This one's my favorite.
if I had $1, Kayla, for every time someone has had this conversation with me, I mean, I could probably buy like 250 hot dogs at Costco. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big one because and I mean, it's interesting because in the early days of social, when I first started doing social media management for brands, I heard it all the time. Well, every time I would give a monthly report to our clients and be like, well, it's not driving sales. It's not driving sales. Okay. Social media does not generate sales organically for a business, right? There's lots of ways that you can generate sales online for your business, but you have to layer it on top of an organic social media strategy. Social media is not the end all be all. So it's funny to me, Kayla, that this is still a misconception in 2026 because it's so obvious to me, right? And I think there are outliers, right? There are businesses that are able to generate sales through organic social media and they've done a good job of, but they're also layering on other things. Like for example, I recently had to get my garage door fixed and I found a garage door company through Google. And then they came over and they said, "Oh, did you find out about us on Instagram?" I was like, "No, I didn't find out about you guys on Instagram." Um, but then I looked at their Instagram and they had 60,000 followers, like a really highly engaged audience. I was like, "Oh, do you guys get a lot of business from Instagram?" And they said, "Yeah, kind of. I mean, mainly people find us on Google, but then they look us up on Instagram." And then they see all the work that we've done and then they usually call. So that's really what I usually see from a social media perspective is it's usually
Mhm.
the second place someone goes to look up a business once they've already discovered them. So maybe they've discovered you through a referral. Maybe they've discovered you through a Google search. Maybe they found you through a paid ad or another influencer collaborated with your content and showed you. Then they're going to go to your social media page. So you want to make sure that your Instagram or your Facebook or your TikTok, whatever it is, really accurately portrays like who you are and what you do so that you're putting your best foot forward when that actual person is evaluating your business. But does social media alone drive sales? No.
Well, that goes into social media is not your marketing plan, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
and to your point, we have a client, a local plastic surgeon, and I'll always ask their patients when I'm filming, how did you find this center? And a
Mhm.
lot of them will have found it through Google or some research they did. Some have found it through Instagram. But when they find the doctor, they go to Instagram, and that's where they can see some of the procedures they've done and videos of him and make that connection to who they're potentially going to be using for surgery. We also have a local client that they also are very aware that social media does not necessarily guarantee leads or sales. And, with working with them, they were already getting so many compliments on how their content looked great and, they loved the stuff that they were seeing. And we kind of tweaked their strategy a little bit to do more video content and more long form video content. And they are getting leads through YouTube, which is great. And they're super excited about it. But they know that that's not a guarantee and that's not something that's necessarily going to happen, but the more they're putting themselves out there and getting that brand awareness, when someone hears about the company or hears their names, they're going to want to go look at them. And so now we have all of this content for people to make that connection with them.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think that's great that you're doing that. And it's also why in my business at LTM Digital, we used to just offer social media management packages, right? Where we're only offering organic social media for our clients. But then we found it was so important to also layer on either an email marketing strategy or a paid social media or performance marketing strategy because that was actually what was generating the results. But the organic social is still equally important because people are still going to go to your Instagram page or your Facebook page as the second stop. And if you have nothing there or you haven't updated and you're spending all this money on ads, it's not going to generate the results that you're looking for because people are going to see your content in an ad and then go to your Instagram, for example, and if you haven't updated it in 3 years, they're going to be like, "Well, what is up with this product? Is this fake? Like, is it a bot? Like, what's going on?" Right? So it all ties together. It's something that we call at LTM Digital a holistic marketing package because,
Oh, I like that.
oh, right, right. Because it all ties together and it's not just about organic social anymore. It wasn't even called organic social back in the day. It was just called social media. But now it's got to be segmented. It's got to be organic social media, paid social media, your email marketing, your performance marketing. Those are all aspects of your marketing ecosystem. So just really important to understand that. And I hope that shares a little bit more light to it. But now I want to go into another misconception, Kayla, and this ties back into organic social, is that you have to be on all platforms on social media to be successful.
I had a client that once said she didn't want to spray across social media, and I kind of loved it because you don't want to be on every single platform just spraying your content out to see, like, throwing that pasta up against the wall to see if it sticks. You want to be where your audience is or where your audience potentially is. So if your audience is on Instagram, why do you have an X account if they're not on X? Also, you need a really robust strategy to be on X in the first place, which means you need content and you need a budget.
Yeah. And you need to evaluate if it's the right platform for you. And, I still refer to X as Twitter because that's just, it will always be Twitter for me. But I will also say that we no longer recommend Twitter/X as a platform for our clients to be on.
Yeah, and we don't either. I think it's really doing that work to figure out your target audience, your ideal customer persona, and working with your social media team to figure out that strategy of where the best place to post is if you don't already know that. We're going to be working with a university that a lot of them are already on Facebook and Instagram, which is great, and they want to be on a third platform. But depending on our strategy, they want to know what that third platform is. So you really need to figure out your target audience. If you don't know who your target audience is, that's something you need to figure out before you hire a social media manager.
Yeah, definitely. And I would also say that there is a misconception around having to launch all the platforms at the same time. And I would say that's a big misconception because you can just start with one and then go from there, right? Like we have a couple social media clients over the years where we've started just by tackling Instagram and Facebook because obviously Instagram and Facebook are owned by Meta. So it's got the direct connection to share from Instagram to Facebook. So we just start there. We post content there. And then maybe 6 months later, we launch YouTube. And then maybe after that, we launch TikTok. So it doesn't have to be like, boom, here I am everywhere on the internet all at once. You can roll out the platforms over time and think about that strategy and then build as you start to get more comfortable creating content specifically on a consistent basis for your brand.
Yeah, and to your point, when we have clients where they're like, we don't know what channels we need to be on, and they don't know about Facebook, my suggestion, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but my suggestion is if you're ever planning on running ads, you should have a Facebook that's active and that it wasn't just started a week before you started running ads. Because when people come to your social media from the ad, they're going to want to see that you were active for however long. I've also seen a lot of people want to be on TikTok because they think it's going to bring this overnight success because it has happened for some people. So they just think like, oh, getting on TikTok, I'm going to easily get like 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers, and my content's going to go viral, which was in our first misconception video.
Yeah.
So again, it's not, following the shiny penny because you think that that's what's going to work. You really need to figure out where your people are and bring that brand awareness there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kayla. Well, let's wrap this up with the final misconception. I know that
Yeah.
we kind of you kind of threw in a curveball there.
Our
Yeah,
final misconception: AI is a replacement for a social media manager.
this is me doing the robot.
It's impressive for
Um,
something down.
right. Yeah, if you're watching the video, I hope you enjoyed my robot movements. No, 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 no. Please stop.
I've had so many people say, like, I saw this ad for whatever AI tool it was. Are you worried about your job? Or are you worried that that can do everything that you can do? And my answer is always like, no. Because to Lindsay's point, AI is a tool. Somebody still has to train it and run it and use it.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects of social media that are just so deeply human too. Like how is AI going to know? Like, yes, obviously, if there's a potential crisis and someone posts something on your brand page, could you talk to your LLM and get some suggestions on like how you respond? Sure. But your 20 years of deep knowledge and experience in your field is what's going to guide your intuition, right? And that's not something that AI can replace, right? So AI cannot replace the human element of social media because social media is social.
Social.
AI, not so social. You know what I'm saying?
But a great tool.
Great tool. Love AI. Like when leveraged properly, amazing. But there are just certain like instincts and awareness and things that you can't replicate through an LLM. So I'm not worried about AI replacing social media managers at all, but I do also, for social media managers listening, I do believe that we all need to learn how to leverage AI effectively. So while it's not going to become a replacement for us, you do have to learn how to use it in your everyday work life. And if you're not already,
You're so behind.
yes, unfortunately, yes, if you're not using AI in your daily work life, you are behind at this point, but you don't have to be. You can learn what to do very quickly. Take a listen to episode 50 on AI on Dose of Social. We've got a couple other episodes about AI and social media, but that one will give you a really great overview. So take a listen and learn. And we're here. Like you can find us on social media if you have any questions too. So we're here for you and we're here to dispel your misconceptions about social.
So, Lindsay, let's wrap up this episode with a couple of takeaways.
Let's do it. All right. So I know we talked about organic doesn't equal sales and organic doesn't necessarily generate leads. But I know that those of you listening will be like, well, that's what I want, Lindsay. I want sales and I want leads for my business. And of course you do. Run ads. Run ads on Meta, run ads on Google, build and cultivate an email list for your business so that you can reach out to those people regularly. There's plenty of ways to generate sales and leads for your business and leverage social media as well as part of that holistic marketing ecosystem. So just don't rely solely on organic social media to drive that success. So I would say look at other ways you can drive performance for your business through sales and leads and leveraging other platforms like paid social and email. From the AI perspective, make sure you're leveraging AI as a tool for your social media, not a replacement for your social media strategy and not a replacement for your social media manager, but leveraging AI in your everyday social media life. And number 3, focus on the platforms where you can make the most impact. Look at your ICP, like Kayla mentioned. Look at where your audience is and where they are on social and focus on those platforms. You don't need to be everywhere at once, and you can always build those platforms over time. So, just if you want to start with 1, 2 platforms and then evolve from there. Anything else you would add, Kayla?
I think just also remembering followers are not the end all be all. So make sure you're tracking all of your analytics and really paying attention to what content's working and what's not working so you can continue to grow your follower base based on people that you want following you because they want to purchase your product or your service or whatever it might be. But also pay attention to the views you're getting and how long people are watching your videos and shares and saves and likes and comments.
Yep. It's about quality, not quantity. Thanks so much for listening to Dose of Social. See you next time.
See ya.